everybody, welcome back to the Grindhouse. It is I, Groovy Fox, and we're coming at you with a review for Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead, which you can currently watch on Netflix. Anyway, what are my thoughts on the film?
It's fine.
It's a Zack Snyder movie through and through. No doubt about that. And by that I mean, well, the movie has a strong visual element to it. I feel like Zack Snyder, if you had him tell a story with no dialogue whatsoever, with just visuals and music, Zack Snyder could probably tell something potentially compelling, right? But when it actually comes to emotional weight in the core narrative, Zack Snyder struggles with that. Like, let's be honest, Zack Snyder's best works are all pretty much based on adapting pre-existing stories, right? You've got Watchmen, you've got Dawn of the Dead, you've got 300. Once he starts branching off and making up his own stories, I feel like that's where Zack Snyder starts to get off the rails. He needs a really strong writer to get him from point A to point B, and he can make their work look good, and that's where he's going to shine the best. I mean, shit, the screenplay for Dawn of the Dead was worked on by James Gunn, and James Gunn's a great screenwriter, and it kind of shows. That gives him something. You've got 300, you've got Watchmen. Those are pretty much direct adaptations of the source material that they're based on. We start getting to Sucker Punch, Guardians of Gahul? Yeah, the one with the owls. That's where Zack Snyder starts to go off the rails a little bit. And I'm not even going to talk about his DC movies, because those movies, while adaptations of existing characters, aren't actual adaptations of the existing storylines. And we all know how well that worked out for Zack Snyder.
Why did you say that name?
This movie kind of suffers from that as well. I feel like this movie is a good example of why Zack Snyder should have directed The Suicide Squad and not the Justice League. That would have been right up his alley, because this is kind of what this movie is. It's very similar to The Suicide Squad in some elements. And Zack Snyder's strong visuals are definitely there in the scenes that actually aren't obscured by that really shallow depth of field that he decided to shoot in. Like, I don't know why he only wanted us to focus directly here and then everything else was out of focus. Like, this is a big budget spectacle kind of movie. No matter what you want to say about it, well, it's just a zombie movie or something like that, it's still kind of like a big budget blockbuster style of film. So it looks cheap when everything that's not in the direct center of the frame is out of focus. It's kind of distracting and kind of annoying. I don't know how this got past the people at Netflix. Maybe they just gave him a la carte to do whatever the hell he wanted. Maybe that's not the best way to go with Zack Snyder.
But everybody works for him. They're all on the payroll. They're all sucking the teat. Nobody sits them down eye to eye, one-on-one, and says, cut the shit.
Anyway, the acting in this movie is really good. Dave Bautista does a really good job. Amari Hardwick does a great job. I actually really liked his character, Van. I liked his character. And Dieter was good. The Safecracker. Tig Notaro was okay as Peters. Everybody else in this movie was crap. Either they were a stupid character that didn't need to be there, or they had no real character development and had nothing to do until they died. Garrett Dillahunt is also in this film, and I guess Garrett Dillahunt is supposed to be a character that you're rooting for to see die, but again, they don't develop him much until a few scenes before he dies. So he doesn't really come off like a Captain Rhodes character from Day of the Dead. He's just some guy that's kind of there that turns out to be kind of a dick. Minor spoiler alert. I'm sure you probably already figured that out if you've seen the movie. Speaking of the movie, this movie is 2.5 fucking hours long. The first hour of this movie nothing really happens. They're just getting everybody together aside from the opening sequence, which is pretty cool, but I've seen better opening sequences in other films. The opening sequence in this film is like a mix of Zombieland's opening sequence and then the opening sequence from Suicide Squad, where they introduce all of the characters. You put that together, you get the opening sequence for Army of the Dead, right? And that sequence seemed like it would probably made a better movie than what he actually made here with Army of the Dead. I know there's talks about him potentially doing sequel stories and stuff like that, or prequel stories about the downfall of Las Vegas, and I feel like that's just a cop out. I feel like if that's the story that you wanted to make, the story you wanted to tell, make that story. Don't kind of tease that story half-assedly and then say that if this is successful, maybe we'll do that. That's not good storytelling. It's not. I'm sorry. Maybe you like that. Maybe you don't. Sorry. Sometimes stories can have cliffhangers where you don't see it and then the story gets continued. But usually in the first entry of something, if you need to have a whole other thing made to explain minor elements of it, you're probably not doing a good job as a writer. And speaking of not a good job as a writer, I'm assuming he was working through some of the issues that he had with the death of his daughter by having Batista's daughter character pretty much be an annoying tag along in this movie that gets everybody killed. Like, she doesn't directly get everybody killed, but let's be honest, when he says, "Oh, you got to stay in my sight, no running off all by yourself," guess what she's probably going to do at the climax of the film, right? What do you think Batista's going to do left and right? "Oh, I'm not going to pay attention to where my daughter is." Okay. I wonder what's going to happen. You think she's going to get into trouble and maybe get somebody hurt? Yeah. Now, in a post zombie saturation world with things like World War Z, Z Nation, The Walking Dead, all that fun stuff, you really have to do something different to stand out telling a zombie story, or you actually have to have a strong, compelling human story to tell set amongst your zombie world. This movie doesn't really do either one of those, to be perfectly honest with you. I feel like this is a big budget remake of some of those Asylum films that they made like 10 years ago, where you have people on Alcatraz trying to get off the island that's surrounded by zombies everywhere in New York. Wasn't that a movie? I'm pretty sure it was. I feel like that's the kind of movie that this was. I feel like Z Nation did more interesting things with the zombies than this movie did. And Z Nation was made by the Asylum. So what does that tell you, Zack Snyder? Honestly, this movie had a lot of potential, but it kind of fell flat. It was bloated. It was too long. The most interesting part of the film was that backstory sequence, and that's just it. That's just a sequence that introduces you to the characters. Make that movie, man. I'd watch that because that seems kind of cool. But the story that we got was kind of stupid. And then they throw so much shit against the wall in this movie. Slow zombies, fast zombies, dumb zombies, smart zombies, zombie tigers, zombie robots. Yeah, there are zombie robots in this movie, and it's not explained at all in any way, shape, or form. All you get is just a look from one of the dudes when he shoots it in the face, and then there's a robot face underneath. And they're just, the more he tries to add into this movie, it just seems like the more plot holes that appear in this movie. Like, there's kind of a potential time loop element to this film that, again, isn't explained or touched on in any way. It's just that if you're kind of paying attention to it, you're just gonna start noticing these things, right? Like in the scene where there's all these pressure plate traps. We need to get a zombie to walk down there. Okay, well, we'll just go and cut off the hand of this zombie, heat it up, because zombies are attracted to the warm meat. But if zombies are attracted to the warm meat, then why aren't all of the zombies outside baking in the hot sun, just going after each other and trying to eat each other? Is it because they're smart zombies and they know not to eat themselves? Did the government send in the robot zombies to spy on the regular zombies? And if they did, then why are the robot zombies just acting like any other zombie? Is it to not arouse suspicion to themselves? I don't know. It's kind of stupid, and they don't bother going into it. Will I check out some of the prequel stuff? Maybe. Maybe if it looks good. I hear it's supposed to be animated. That could really be cool. I wonder if that means it's going to be CGI animated or traditionally animated. Huh. Gotta keep an eye out for that. Anyway. All in all, not that bad of a movie. I didn't think it was the best zombie movie I've ever seen. It's definitely not as good as Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead remake. Oh, I would say that it's probably not as good as World War Z. Was it a fun movie? Yeah. Was World War Z scarier? Yeah. Was World War Z not much of a zombie movie? Yeah. What does that tell you about this movie? Like I said, it's a fun popcorn movie. It's worth a watch once. If you really like zombie movies, maybe it'll scratch that itch for you. But honestly, I feel like there actually isn't that much in this movie that I haven't seen before. I'm sorry. There was so much thrown against the wall that it's just like, all right. And the stuff that you haven't seen before, they don't bother talking about it at all. Like, there's a scene with a zombie baby fetus thing. Zack Snyder already did that in Dawn of the Dead. He did it better in Dawn of the Dead. And in this movie, it's kind of a throwaway scene that doesn't amount to anything. I don't know. I feel like Zack Snyder needed a stronger hand in the writing room. He needed somebody to say, yeah, maybe we should elaborate on this. Hey, maybe we should cut out some people standing around, walking around, doing nothing.
Cut the shit.
And maybe dedicate it to actually adding in some plot elements to explain some of this shit. But I guess when you know that Netflix is going to be bankrolling more crap for you, regardless of the quality of the thing that you produce, then you don't have to worry about it. Oh man, Zack Snyder's movies. Jesus Christ. 4 hours of that Justice League cut. I don't know if we're going to do a video on that because I don't know if I want to sit down and watch that for another 4 hours. Anyway, this has been my review of Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead. Go watch it on Netflix if you can. Other than that, do me a big old favor, hit that like button if you like that video. Maybe drop a follow on the channel. I got more videos coming out for you guys. Other than that, stay safe, stay groovy, people. I'll see you next time. We outie.